I thought to make a video about the pandemic as I was participating in a recent panel in regards to COVID and impact investing. How do you predict the next pandemic? The answer is you don't. There's no way for you to predict how or where the next pandemic will hit. There's no way for you to predict any traumatic shock of any kind. By definition, traumatic shock is traumatic because it's unplanned, unexpected. Because you can't predict it, does that mean you can't prepare for it? My answer for you is actually maybe, but it's probably better to anticipate it than to understand the nature of traumatic shock. So here are the natures of traumatic shock. First thing first, traumatic shock affects a large swath of people. It could be a volcano that explodes the next town over, or it could be a giant tsunami that covers through you, or an English settler just decide to land and call your ancestral land their colony. These traumatic shocks are persistent and affects a large group of people. Part of the reason why pandemic is so impactful for us is that we all experience it at the same time. So next, traumatic shocks affects different individuals differently. We call that heterogeneity in econ. And basically, it's the idea that there is a recession and you got Jake, Sean, Doug, and my boy Chris over here. Chris kind of looks like a hedgehog. Anyway, when a traumatic shock hits, such as a recession, all of them will respond differently. For example, for Jake over here, he's really wealthy because he's a banker. Sean over here, he's kind of a middle-class person, and he's like, not the worst, but I'm not happy. For Doug, it sucks. He's really impacted because he has one of those jobs people can easily hire and fire very easily. And then you have someone like Chris, who during a recession didn't have the medical money to pay for bills, and then he dies. So that's heterogeneity. Last thing you want to think about is how traumatic shock causes long-term institutional and systems change. Unfortunately, normal will never be a thing again after a traumatic shock. In fact, after COVID has hit, a lot of people are talking about returning to normal. Actually, don't go back to normal. Think about where the new equilibrium would be. What is the permanent changes institutionally, governmentally, culturally that will affect your businesses? Taking it all together, we get three main questions that every manager should ask during a traumatic shock. First, you ask where it's happening. It's not just geographical, but we also refer to different markets and any way you can classify different groups and areas. And second part that you want to ask is who is affected and how is it different from different individuals. That is important for your firm. And the third and last concept in which we consider the changes that will happen, you think about what is no longer normal and what you should do about it and what will your competitors do about it. Combining all these three things, you want to compare it with the resource and capability that you currently have against the three environmental factors that we have discussed in this video. Once these are compared, you create a situation in which you now have a strategy because you understand what capabilities are missing and what capability that you have that you can leverage. So those are the three things that I wanted to wrap up, and hopefully you have any questions, let me know. My name is Mikey Mike from CNTRD.